And now we are going to Mrs. KLEISIARI.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
Thank you very much
May I
for
share?
letting us.
No, there is no problem. May I share my screen? Okay.
Of course.
Yeah. Okay. Do you see the presentation?
Perfect.
Perfect.
We have full screen now.
Okay. Thank you. So, hello from me. I am Christina KLEISIARI. I am a PhD student in the University of Thessaly in Volos here in Greece. And I will present you the CROPFEED Project, the establishment of production protocols and its implementation of circular economy concept. So, according to the literature review, yes, the need for protein animal feeds is increasing year by year, but on the other side, European Union faces difficulties in order to cover the protein needs of their animals. More specifically, from 70 million tons per year of raw protein intended for animal feed, 13 millions are soybean, which is of which 50% comes from USA, and the other 36% is imported from Brazil. Soybean is an intensive cultivation, as you know, because of it has high needs of water and fertilization. And there are some restrictions in this cultivation in South Europe, such as the water scarcity and the general climatic conditions. There is also, at the same time, there is a high need for lowering dependency levels from imported soybeans, but only 3% of the total EU cultivated area is covered with protein crops. Let's talk about the advantages of leguminous crops. First of all, they are proteins of high biological value, but and there are appropriate in order to for us in order to cover the nutritional needs of animals. As Abraham et al. Has proved, most of the lupine species are a full-featured alternative to soybean and soymeal, and a sustainable alternative source of protein in both monogastric and ruminant feed. Let's say a little things about the high need of nitrogen assimilation through crop rotation, which is used in order to reduce the use of nitrogen fertilizers up to 100 kilograms per hectare per month, and to reduce the environmental footprint of crops, restricting the use of pesticides, enhancing biodiversity, which is of high importance when we are talking about the circular economy, which is based. This chart is about assessing the mix of high protein crops in Southeast Europe. And as you can notice here, lupine production is very low in the decade between 2007 to 2016, while green peas production is almost stable at around 0.5 million tons per year. On the other hand, soybean production, especially after 2012, is always increasing. Okay. In this graph, we can see the increase of soybean production in Southeast Europe from 48% to 68.4% in the same decade, while green peas production is almost half. Here is a pie represents the soybean production grown in Southeast Europe, and we can see here that Italy, Serbia, and France are the largest producers of soybeans in Europe. About soybean yield, we can notice that Italy, Serbia, and Croatia has the largest production of soybeans per hectare. Assessing the individual records of countries in soybean production and its relationship with the performance of the agricultural sector, as we have told before, Italy, Serbia, and France are the largest producers of soybeans. Talking about the soybean proportion, Croatia, Bosnia, and Serbia produce the largest proportions of soybean comparing to other protein crops. As we can see in the third column, soybean change in all these countries, except from Albania, the last years soybean production is increased. A comment here is that although Greece and Spain has a less involved in soybean production, they are the most ecologically friendly producers, let's say, because their emissions are very low. Okay. The analysis of the dynamics of high protein crops production in these countries has shown that they have reduced their dependence. There is a high need of the reduction of the dependence of imported crops, and the input is increasing in this decade between soybeans production. There is a high need to reduce imports, but there are always threats to the competitiveness of national agricultural sectors of this area, such as the lower yield and the value of soybeans compared to other protein crops. There is no evidence that the larger producers of soybeans manage to extract more product per cultivated area or less greenhouse gas emissions than the smaller ones. Okay, as you know, meat demand is increased the last years, and simultaneously there is an increase in soybean production. So, CROPFEED Project aims to establish the production protocols adapted to dairy cows, and the main objective is to create protocols for the production of domestic feedstuff of feeding the productive animals. Another main goal is to replace domestic force feed and imported protein, and the reduction of production costs compared to the existing situation in both types of feedstuff.
2 minutes, please.
Okay, I'll pass them. This is the main methodological tools we have used in this project. The development analysis uses decision-making units, and it is a technique that studies inputs and outputs in order to assess input use and the efficiency of all the using volume. These are the main regions of our research. This research mainly carried out in the Thessaly region. As we can see here, a comment is that despite the fact that many of DMU fields are effective, there are a lot of fields where there is a space of improvement. And the second tool is the principal component analysis in order to highlight the consumer patterns about consuming meat and dairy products derived from animals that have fed with locally produced feed. These are the six main components arising from the PCA analysis. And the main one is the first one is about the environment and healthy issues. The second one is about the intention of consuming meat and dairy products fed with locally produced feed. And consumers try to avoid imported feed, and because they think that the imported feed is genetically modified. This is a comparison of PCA's result with socioeconomic characteristics of the participants. We have noticed that older people are more motivated to consume locally produced food and feed, and they try to avoid the dangerous, as they say, imported feed. Here is a graph about the willingness, the participants' willingness to pay more money in order to avoid imported feed. To conclude, CROPFEED results, there is a high need to find alternative sources of protein feed, finding effectiveness through economic, environmental, and social factors. There are first positive signs and the positive attitude of consumer towards the consumption of this type of foodstuff derived from animals fed with locally produced feed. Of course, locally produced feed should ensure the identity of origin and rate it more favorably for consumer side. Thank you very much for your time.